How's it going, guys? Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday today. As you guys know, there's a big fight coming up, and I'm super excited. Canelo Alvarez against Terrence Crawford, man. I'm so excited. I'm looking at both fighters. I like both fighters. As you guys know, Canelo is one of my favorite fighters. I can't deny that. He's one of my idols. And man, nothing but respect for both of them. Looking here at both fighters, which I see a lot of uh, fighters, a lot of people commenting and maybe just saying who they are friends with or why they think that each or whoever they have, each fighter, why they have them. With Terrence Crawford, we're going to start off with Terrence Crawford. From everything that I'm seeing, a lot of people are giving him a lot of chances. It's almost 50-50 in the odds. And for him to get that, I mean, I understand he's never lost. And he's a great fighter, one of the greatest fighters in this generation. But I just don't think he has gone against the fighters that Canelo has. Sometimes it is easy to win all these titles, become undisputed, if you don't have the strongest fighters in those weight classes. As you guys see, Josh Taylor, Jermell Charlo, they were undisputed. David Haney, but I don't consider them one of the greater fighters of all time. There's a lot of great fighters that we consider one of the best of all times that weren't undisputed. Now with the belts, sometimes one person captures all the belts. They have a bad night, or just that person is better than that person that has the undisputed or has all the belts, gets beat and gets all the titles. Where the other guy had to fight every single champion and went through more battles, and that's probably why he lost that fight. Then one person comes in and has one fight and gets all the titles, which has happened with Terrence Crawford. So in that sense, I don't think I can kind of judge it in that sense why he's gonna win. And in this fight, particularly in 168, I just think Canelo has been there for a longer time. They're about the same size, they say, but that necessarily doesn't mean anything. As you see, Canelo has always fought bigger fighters, stronger fighters, taller fighters, and for you to be able to do that, and you need to have a lot of skill. That's why he's moving up. He's not weight bullying the other fighters, where you can be walking around and just sparring in your normal ways about 170, 160, and you cut down to 147 on the time of the weight limit on the fight night, which you're going to be a larger fighter just coming down and being a bigger guy than in that weight class, or being around the same size. If you guys see, Canelo is always the smaller fighter. He's always fighting up. The fighters that he's fighting are all usually bigger than him because they're doing the opposite. They weigh more and then they cut down. And what he's doing is, little by little, he just kept growing and growing and saying, you know what? Why am I just cutting weight? Why don't I just train? I'm not so worried about cutting weight. I come in strong. I train for my weight. And with my skill, I don't have to bully the smaller guy. I can fight going up and fighting bigger guys just because I'm that skillful. And he went up a lot till he got to Bivol. I think he was just too big. He had the hand injury, he said, which is not an excuse, and that's why I think he wants that revenge fight with Bivol. And I just think Bivol is just too big. He's bigger, stronger. Just was keeping his distance. It's not like he hurt Canelo. He didn't really hurt him. He was outboxing him just because he was using that jab, staying out of range. Canelo will tell him to engage, and to Bivol's credit, he did what he needed to do to win the fight. He didn't want to engage in going into inside fight because he felt Canelo's power too, and he was just caution. So if you take that in consideration, I think this is going to be a great fight. in terms of the fighters. I think since they're both the same weight, in about the same size, it is gonna be a great fight because Terrence Crawford is very skillful as well, and I think he does a lot of things that he does great. Is can help him win. I just don't think he has the stamina to withhold the power of Canelo just because he's not used to getting hit. Yeah, they say that he trains with bigger guys, but sparring and training, and he's not training with one of the best fighters in the world. Even if you get the bigger fighter, even if you're sparring heavyweights, you're not fighting the skill. You're fighting a bigger guy, but you're not fighting Canelo Alvarez, and the same thing with Crawford. Think he can get smaller fighters, or it's different. But the only thing with this fight is that I think Canelo has never been rocked, has never been hurt by Triple G, Kovalev, Bivol, Berlanga, and these are big guys, strong people that knock out records, So if they didn't hurt him, I just don't think Crawford has the power to back him up and say, you know what, you're not gonna get close to me. If Canelo starts feeling these shots and they're not really hurting, what's gonna stop him from coming forward? He's not gonna be scared of getting hit, which again kind of contradicts that because if he does do that and Crawford hits him or counters, it's not sometimes the hits, it's the combination of hits where these are the hits that you're not seeing and might surprise you, and that's gonna be, I mean, something positive for Crawford. So I mean, some ways that you can go. You can never really predict with these great fighters what they're gonna do or how is the outcome is gonna be. But I think it is gonna be a great fight. Both fighters are pound for pound fighters right now at the moment. I think Crawford is a little bit higher right now just because of the opposition that he's been fighting. He looks better. With Canelo, he did take that surgery. He's been fighting and not knocking him out. And what I think is Canelo, he's in the time where he has experience. He has nothing to prove. He has nothing to go out there and risk something that he doesn't have to. He wins these fights by points. They're not the opponents are not really doing anything. So sometimes you see that he drops them, but he doesn't go for the kill because, from my opinion, is that he just doesn't want to risk anything. He doesn't want to risk getting caught with something where he doesn't need to. Like right now that he's fighting Crawford, why risk getting hurt and chasing somebody that's obviously running, get and do too much pressure and get caught with something, get hurt when these guys are not trying to fight. All they're trying to do is survive and are not trying to get a belt. They already got paid. They're not trying to get knocked out. They're just trying to survive. It's something good for their egos and saying, you know what, I made it through fighting Canelo. So, I mean, I just think that these last fights that he has had haven't been up to par to what or who he is or what he has been fighting in his big days in fighting. So that's a big thing. If you guys want to let me see his boxing record, and we'll compare that later. But I think Canelo, in skill wise, he's up there with Crawford. As Crawford has different types of skills. He can go from orthodox to just normal, and then Canelo can't do that. So I mean, it is a little tricky if you dominate both, where you just don't know where he's coming from, and Canelo tends to have a little bit more of a struggle, if you per se, with southpaws, so that's a plus for Crawford. but I just don't think he's been there with the fighters like Canelo. I think Canelo has too much experience. Just the fights itself, he's fought more. He has more rounds. It's just gonna be hard for Crawford to win this fight. And I mean, it's 41 to 63 uh, fights. You know, no losses in Terrence in a record, and two losses against Bivol and one against Mayweather, where you can arguably say one of the best defensive fighters of all time, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Bivol, he's gonna be a all-time Hall of Famer, um, undisputed as well. And he went up in a weight to fight him, So those are his two losses. But just comparing the skill level, I think a lot of people just have Terrence Crawford just because he looks a little bit more dominant because he is fighting less skilled opponents. Like Canelo said, tell me one elite fighter you fought. You can say Spence, but Spence wasn't the same guy. He fought uh, Sean Porter, and that was a war, and that was still after the crash. So he didn't get him like prime with no accidents. Uh, who else? Let's see. Now we can go down the record. William School. I mean, you can exclude that one. Berlanga, also Jaime Munguia, great contender, but not somebody you can say in the pedigree of the top level. Jamar Charlo, you can say he was an elite fighter. He was undisputed. So you can say he was an elite fighter in his weight class. He did go up in weight to fight Canelo, and you guys saw what happened. Undisputed, great power. I don't think maybe I see that's a closer fight against Crawford against Charlo. I think that's a closer fight, and I'll still maybe take Jamar Charlo there. That's a 50-50 fight. Um, John Ryder, uh, not elite. Golovkin, 3 fights with him. Bivol, elite. Caleb Plant, elite. You can say elite fighter. Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated. Uh, he had 30 fights. He was undefeated. Took his first L. Yildirim, not to Colin Smith, undefeated. At that time, he was the bigger champ, which everybody thought he was the more difficult fighter in the weight class at super middleweight, and he beat him, attacking that arm. That one time, Calvin Smith's arm got all swollen, so that was a good win. Sergey Kovalev knocked him out, going up to light heavyweight. Daniel Jacobs, elite fighter. Rocky Fielding, no. Golovkin. Chavez, no. Mir Khan, fast hands, but also went up. Miguel Cotto, Hall of Famer. Kirkland, nah, well, he's not a Hall of Famer, but even Canelo said he was the one that hit him the hardest. So, and this Larry Lara, elite fighter. Alfredo Angulo wasn't, I wouldn't say elite. Floyd, Austin Trout, that was a good win right there when nobody wanted to fight him. Josecito Lopez came up, but good fighter. James Mosley, Hall of Famer, elite fighter. Uh, and that was pretty much it from what I can see in the elite fighters. And it's when he was being a contender and just uh, working up the ranks there. But now let's go with Terrence Crawford. Let's see. All right. So Terrence Crawford, Madrimov, not an elite fighter. Errol Spence, I would call it a elite fighter with some difficulties being there just because of his accident. So that's one with the kind of minus sign. Uh, David Avenasanyan, I don't think he's elite. Sean Porter, great fight, good fighter, but I wouldn't call him great. Kilbrook, also good fighter, but not great or elite. Amir Khan, I'll give him. He was already past his prime, but good fighter. Benavidez Jr., good fighter. Jeff Horn, good fighter. Dongo, Postal, good fighters, man. The best fighter I think he's fought at his prime was Gamboa, and I still don't think he's a great fighter or elite fighter. He was on his way. He was a prospect, upcoming threat, but it didn't come to fruition, and it wasn't what we thought it was. So all those fighters, I just don't think probably none of them beat mm, maybe Spence beats Charlo. I don't think any of those beat Jaime Munguia. I don't think any of those fighters beat Berlanga. I don't even Spence might beat John Ryder, but other than that, I know they don't beat Golovkin. I don't even think Crawford beats Golovkin. I don't think Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Plant. I don't think Crawford beats him. So it's gonna be hard. You do want to kind of fantasize and want to think that he might have a chance, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be hard. And he's coming up against a champ, and he has to prove it. He has to prove that he can beat him. I think he has the tools, but then again, once you're in there, it's a different story. Because once you get hit, as Charlo, he got on his bike and said, "Peace out. I got paid. I'm not gonna end up in the canvas," and just ran. School did the same thing too. Mungia, he fought in there. I think Canelo just didn't want to finish him in a way. Another Mexican fighter, he didn't want to make him look that bad. He had already the fight won, so why even push it? That's what I think. But it's two different things being there, actually getting hit, and then going with that game plan that you went in with. You know, uh, Mike Tyson said it himself. Everybody has a plan until you get hit, and that's real. That is real. I mean, it's not the same thing. So in skill, I just think both of them got skill. I think it shows a little bit more on the Crawford side just because his opposition it's a little less and it's easier, or you kind of see more of a difference. You kind of see he he's more convincing in a way, just because the fighters that he's going against are a lot easier for him. Where Canelo is going up in weight, he I think he started at 147 when he barely started, and he's at 168. I don't think he won at 147. He won at 154, 160, 168, and 175. But I just think skill wise, both of them have it. Kind of different qualities, but for you to be those type of fighters and those big of a fighters being that small, you need to have skill. You need to be able to be smarter than the other guy, have that power to be dropping him, knocking him out. So he's not just beating him boxing and running around. He's knocking these guys out. So in the skill, I think both of them have it. Um, a lot of people, from what I see, are people that are friends with Terrence Crawford. A lot of people give it to him because maybe they know him or they're against Canelo. All the Benavides are giving it to Crawford. Sean Porter, Errol Spence. A lot of people are giving it to Crawford because of that. But then again comes the backlash after the fight. I can't give. I think Canelo's. I think they're both great fighters, but I just think in that weight class, I think Canelo has done it smarter. Has gone up in weight a little slower than taking his time, where Terrence Crawford is jumping up all of a sudden. if he would campaign, I don't think he even takes it there. I think it's a lot easier where uh, you're cutting down. Then I mean, you rehydrate and you're bigger than the other guy. So that's a that's a that's a upper hand on the bigger guy. And I think Canelo just didn't want to cut so much, and he didn't have to because he had the skill. So Crawford, even on the fight with Errol Spence, he didn't want to fight him at 154. Errol Spence said he couldn't make that weight anymore, and Errol Spence didn't want to give him the fight at 154. Why is that? Because he was gonna be stronger. Errol Spence is a bigger guy, had to cut weight, and I think once the fight is over and he doesn't win, all those people that went for Crawford are gonna come out and say, you know what, it's because of the weight. He went up too much. He's small. All the stuff that they're saying now that the weight doesn't count, they're gonna take that all back. They're gonna say, you know what, he was too big. He was daring to be great, which he is. But I think Crawford he's at the end of his career and wants a payday. Canelo said it himself. I was never looking for this fight. You guys want it? You guys are gonna pay me all this money? Easy money. I do want to see the Benavidez, but the Benavidez fight is at 175 now. He's not at 168 anymore. Like sometimes I question it too. I love Benavidez as well. He's Don't get me wrong, the Benavidez is a great fight as well. I want to see it. I definitely want to see it. But I mean, Benavidez did go up. He said he went up because he wasn't gonna wait for Canelo. He did have mandatory with the WBC, which he didn't enforce, and went up in weight to try to be the mandatory for the undisputed, or either just mandatory for Beterbiev or Bivol. So I mean, he took that decision. He was too big for that weight class, anyways, and he was killing himself to make that weight. He's a big guy, and he went up in weight. So you can't blame Canelo not wanting to fight him. We all want to see the fight. I definitely want to see the fight. But I mean, I think all the fighters have their road that they have to pave. And Benavidez took that road. He went up in weight. He was getting too big for that weight class, and he decided to go up. He is mandatory for, I think it's Bivol, for the WBC. And I think he's going to vacate it. He doesn't want to fight, or I think he's injured, but they're saying that he can't hold on to the belts too much time. But I don't think necessarily Canelo's afraid of fighting him. I think it just for that fight, if everybody's asking for it, the way they have come out and asked for the fight and called him out, I think has just been not what he wanted from the Benavidez's. So I mean, at this point, like he said, he can do whatever he wants. He's a face of boxing. He did what he had to do to be there. He's been in that position for more than a decade, for a long time, almost 20 years. He's been fighting since 15, fighting champions after champion after champion. And like he said, he didn't want this fight. He wasn't asking for this fight. The people wanted the fight against Crawford. Turkey wanted the fight. Said, "Hey, give me this money and I'll fight." 150 million. Hard to say no. Especially if he knows he's gonna win, or he thinks he's gonna win, which he has a high probability of winning, and I think he will win, just because of those things that we talked about, skill wise, and just him being at that weight for longer. I think Canelo has the advantage there. So once if whoever wins, there shouldn't be any excuses. If Crawford wins, I'll give it up to him. That will put him up there in the greatest of all times, becoming undisputed in 3 weight divisions, especially winning against Canelo. I mean, that's a big jump, and that's a great victory right there, especially that one there. He's basically gonna take all those people that Canelo beat and basically put them on his resume, because he beat him. being undisputed. So no excuses for either one because everybody's talking that Crawford has a 50-50 chance. So if he does and he loses, there can be no excuses for him if he loses. Another topic that just came out with Victor Conte and his company Snack. He himself said that he knows how to beat those tests and that fighters, or he does work with athletes himself, which his company should be just a supplements, right? So you just order, you get what you need. But for you to work with him personally, kind of gives it another take, you know. So that's a big no no for me. Him going up in weight and being with Zach. Same thing with David Haney, going up in weight. He's always been the bigger guy. He goes up, and he is a snack fighter as well. And they push and push and push with Vada, and Victor Conte works with Vada. So, I mean, it kind of gives me some suspicion. I mean, you can't uh, uh, blame somebody without having any evidence or saying they did something if you have no evidence. But it's kind of strange to me too, because they have said that with Reynoso, a lot of his fighters have popped dirty. You know, where with Ryan Garcia, they say he was one of his fighters where he wasn't coaching him when he popped against Devin Haney. He wasn't his trainer. So how is it him? With Valdez, they saw that it was one of the T's that he was with Canelo. They already said that the amount that he had now is legal because there's a lot of meat in Mexico that are contaminated in that minimal that he had got that time. Now, if you do get that amount in your system, it's not considered doping. So that's been cleared. And like he said, he just trains them. They have their own nutritionists that are giving him the supplements or giving them food. So now what he has to do is, if you're gonna be his fighter, he's gonna control every single facet of the training, nutrition, fighting, everything that goes with the training camp. So I'm glad that's gonna happen, so that way no misunderstanding happen. So that's one of the things with both fighters that Canelo had come up with clenbuterol, and he cleared it. So I think there's nothing there anymore. They can say they're testing him regularly now, so you can't say that he's been doing anything wrong. Um, and with Crawford, he is working with Victor Conte, who knows how to beat these tests. So that's kind of a little heads up there, but no blaming because we don't know. And then comparing the resumes on each fighter, on seeing who will win based on the resumes, I just think Canelo is stacked. He has the best resume in boxing right now, best chin. He hasn't been dropped. That one drop that still was counted with Cotto's brother counted, but other than that, you've never seen him rocked or hurt. You know, he's been there with Triple G, Kovalev, Bivol, these big hitters, and nobody has been close to like dropping him. He's gotten hit, but nowhere hurt. So I just think in the resumes, you have to give it up to Canelo in the greatness of who he's fought. Yes, he Crawford has beat a lot of fighters, but not in that caliber that Canelo has. So who has a better career? I think Canelo does, and I think this is gonna cement it and just put it to bed. You know, it's gonna shut it up. It's not really gonna give him anything because his resume is already there. He doesn't have to prove anything, and it's just gonna be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be exciting. I hope Crawford does what he says. You know, everybody says the same thing. Even though I see Crawford as a dog and he's a fighter, he's not gonna give up and he's not gonna run. Again, he's gonna feel that power, and who knows? I just hope he doesn't do it because I want to see a fight. I wanted him to try to go out there and beat him. And I know he has it in him, and I know he will do that. But sometimes we get disappointed with these fighters, you know, getting paid all this money, and they just want to survive. So, looking forward to this next month, and let me know what you guys think. Who you guys got? Who do you guys think is gonna win, and who's gonna take it? And just opinions on the whole fight. It was thank you guys for watching, and see you guys on the next one.